So we've done season one, and we talked about all the major decisions that moved the plot along in the first season. And these videos are going to get a little longer as the show goes on because the subject matter also gets heavier. And some of the decisions that are made hit really close to home for me because I'm also someone who has struggled with my mental health for quite a while now. And I think I'm doing BoJack Horseman as well in congruence with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because I see a lot of parallels that I want to talk about. So with that, season 2 of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the first major decision is one from both Rebecca and Josh, who are clearly on opposite sides of the decision to sleep together. Now, in the context of the way that they got together, it was a bad decision for both of them. But for Josh, he had just broken up with his live-in girlfriend who he had been with for 15 years, and immediately jumping into bed with someone who you know has feelings for you was unhealthy at best, manipulative and toxic at worst. Manipulative because he decided that their sexual relationship was just casual as he sleeps on Rebecca's couch. There are no thoughts in that boy's brain. There's no situation, there's no way to cut that situation where that is acceptable. No human being with empathy or common sense sleeps with the girl who knows and has been told loves him and stays on her couch and tells her it's casual. Manipulative. On the Rebecca side of it, she had just gotten out of a situationship with Greg, who she claims to have feelings for, but then she immediately sleeps with Josh and lets him stay with her because in her brain, she thought, the boy that I love finally wants to be with me too. We're in this together now. And he says he wants to keep it casual. She did what most of us do, and she pretends she's okay, and she holds on too tight, and that drives him away. I know that sounds familiar to somebody because there is a point in time where we have all felt like that. We getting to Greg's goodbye. So his goodbye song is also amazingly self-aware. It's one of the best things that I love about the show. He fully admits his feelings for her, but he also knows that she is not what's best for him. And he knows he's not what's best for her. And though it seemed to hurt Rebecca's feelings when he was telling her this, he was 100% correct. Also, Santiago's voice is perfect and enchanting, but again, the only reason she interacted with Greg at the bridge and found herself at the airport was because Josh broke up with her. So she's been bouncing between these two guys because she's been desperate for affection and love and some kind of validation, and not necessarily because either of these boys actually care about her, or not even necessarily because she cares about them. And she straight up says, I don't know who I am without them. I know that's pathetic. I know, but I don't. And I've been there, not necessarily off of a boy, but after something happens or changes in your life and you just feel like you don't know where to go next, that's where we're at with Rebecca right now. And when Paula tells her to just be herself, Rebecca makes it very clear that she can't do that because she doesn't like who she is. I was also in that phase for a very long time. Paula also refuses to tell Rebecca that she's pregnant. So in season 2, and I will be talking a lot about this, we see just how terrible their friendship is, really. At a lot of points in this series, Rebecca and Paula's friendship seems very one-sided, but a lot of that is due to Paula not giving Rebecca the opportunity to be a friend, or straight up just pushing her out of her life. Once Paula starts law school, she finds new people to hang out with and study with, and she fully replaces Rebecca and somehow still finds a way to make that Rebecca's fault. So one of the second season plot lines that I like for screenwriting reasons is Rebecca trying to become a poster girl for Miss Douche. The reason I like this storyline is because in the first season, Rebecca took all of her emotion, like her emotional cues from butter commercials. And the fact that she's still taking emotional cues and attempting to take solace in marketing campaigns is, yes, absurd and ridiculous, but also just really shows her struggle to find meaning in anything. It's funny, but it's also really sad. Rebecca is one of those people that mentions signs and fate a lot, and it's something that shows the audience that she's really incapable of taking accountability for her actions or the things that seem to happen around her. The secondhand embarrassment I suffer from watching this show is astronomical. Pretty much whenever she talks to Josh, I watch in severe cringe and beg her to stop talking. Um, Paula has a very clear opportunity to confide in her best friend, and she chooses not to. She treats Rebecca like a child and not like her friend. They make a lot of comments back and forth about Paula being like a mother figure and Rebecca being like her daughter. That's not healthy. That's not a healthy dynamic to have in a friendship. She enables Rebecca not taking responsibility for things. She encourages selfish behavior in Rebecca and then gets mad at her for that same selfish behavior. Paula never really cared about Rebecca for herself. She used her as a way to escape her life when it wasn't enough for her. And when she felt more filled, like when she went to law school, she let go of Rebecca. Now, Rebecca trying to bond with Valencia is super ridiculous. Rebecca continues not to adhere to some very clear and simple boundaries. And Valencia did very clearly doesn't want to talk or spend any time with her. But Rebecca refuses to take the most obvious of hints. Josh is coping with the breakups, and he is one of those people that is incapable of being alone. I got out of one of those right before I met my husband, actually. Now, these people are pathetic and need therapy. And if you feel the constant need to be in a relationship, then you absolutely should not be in a relationship. I was with one of those, and he wasted almost an entire year of my life. These people suck. But what we've already kind of established is that Josh kind of sucks in relationships and as a functioning adult human being. Rebecca's more questionable actions of the series include kidnapping Valencia and taking her to a Burning Man like new agey healing festival thing, where both women realize that they still have feelings for Josh. Valencia is sad and hurt, and Rebecca is angry. Both valid options. And the girls do end up bonding and defending each other to Josh. And what I love about this scene is that each other was never really the problem. The problem was, in fact, always Josh. He claimed that relationships with either of them was too complicated, but relationships are. And he's so incapable of being an adult that he couldn't articulate that feeling to either woman when he was with them. So he ended up just screwing over both of them. He's got the emotional intelligence of a rock. President of the Josh Chan hate club. Then we also have the return of Trent, which I mentioned in the season 1 video is my favorite thing because it forces Rebecca to confront the things that she has done as well. The season deals a lot with Rebecca and Paula's friendship. I already mentioned that, but they are both going through life changes and they don't necessarily feel like they have a place in each other's lives. Paula with law school, we've already talked about that a little bit. And Rebecca is finally focusing on having friends, which we've seen is kind of for the first time in her whole life. And she's not centering a man in her life. And continuing to stay close with the person who helped and encouraged her to center a man in her life is probably not the best for her healing process anyway. What bothers me about this transitional time for them is that Paula talks to Sunil like Rebecca has been neglecting her, and it's complete bullshit. They both had gotten wrapped up in other things, and Paula wasn't making time for her either. She was also keeping life-altering information from Rebecca like that was a normal friend thing to do. And then when Rebecca does make a concerted effort to include Paula in her new life, Paula is a complete bitch about it, puts in zero effort, and puts it all on Rebecca to be responsible for their friendship and their relationship. Honestly, this is probably why her kids suck. Even taking on the mom role, she's not good at it. Now, I'm all for Rebecca taking accountability because she does do a lot of selfish things, but the state of their friendship is on both of them equally, arguably more on Paula. Valencia and Rebecca fall down the rabbit hole of stalking Josh's new girlfriend. Not like any of us have ever done that. And they come up with this idea that his new girlfriend is dealing drugs. And of course, they go nuts and end up running over his girlfriend's cat. And then they got to hear a lot about how Josh interpreted his past relationships. And rightfully so, Valencia is a little angry because after 15 years of being together without a proposal, she may have hounded him a little, but the dumbass should have been able to commit or leave. Back to Paula and Rebecca. Further evidence of the fallout of Paula and Rebecca is not all on Bex, is the fact that Paula is so wrapped up on her own shit that she completely misses an event that's super important to her husband. Since they finally fixed her marriage, he's been nothing but loving, encouraging, and supportive. Now look, I'm married and I could never outwardly blow off something that was important to my husband. I don't understand that kind of mistake. You could play it off and be like, well, she was human, she lost track of time. No. That simply does not happen if you care. There's nothing I love more than shows that are like at me. And Rebecca and Paula's apology song is something we have all experienced. No one wants to be the first one to admit that they screwed up. And some of us are more stubborn than others. And that's something that's very self-reflective. They're both like, I will apologize. I will tell you how it's all my fault. But you have to go first. And I think, especially in any kind of relationship, we've all experienced that a little bit. Paula's next major storyline is that Scott cheated on her. And she has a little breakdown at work because of it. And Rebecca actually apologizes. And even though I will die on the hill that Paula should have apologized first, Rebecca actually offers to be helpful. And she isn't. My favorite part of this season is they really start her actual character growth. There wasn't a whole lot of character growth in season 1. It was really just establishing how lost this girl is. And season 2 actually starts to get some self-reflection and self-actualization moving. And that was her saying no to Josh to stay with Paula. Josh comes in, big sweeping, I love you declaration. And Rebecca's like, great, cool, but I'm with my family right now and I need to take care of this. You are not my priority right now. And it was wild and absolutely amazing and exactly what she needed to do. So Josh and Rebecca do finally get together, but at the same time, this new character enters the picture, which was a little weird when I first watched it, but Nathaniel is my favorite character. Nathaniel starts as an obstacle for the rest of the characters, but really what he does is show Rebecca how incompatible her and Josh are. Josh has this like weird realization that Rebecca actually cares about him, you know, because he didn't actually pay attention to her when he was using her to escape his relationship from Valencia. Now we should go into the girl codeness of this a little bit. We know that Valencia and Rebecca are still friends and end up being fine, but the fact that she goes after her ex-boyfriend of 15 years, knowing how much that relationship hurt her friend, is questionable at best. And honestly, Valencia was a fucking angel for still staying in Rebecca's life. Rebecca finally has like this emotional breakthrough with the realization that she isn't happy with herself and will never be happy in a relationship until she works on herself. And then Josh proposes and therefore giving her an out from actually working on herself. And she continues to hide in her relationship. But I love that season 2 gets her closer to realizing that she needs therapy. I feel like the plot starts moving a lot faster when Nathaniel comes into the picture because he serves as a catalyst for Rebecca and Josh, as well as being someone that challenges her in pretty much every aspect of her life. He's the guy to ask why. He's like, why are you with this guy? Why are you doing this? Why are you not at work? Why are you not focusing on your career? Like, she needed someone from the outside to bully her into being a better and more well-rounded person. Getting to the rushed wedding, we see more of Rebecca's thought process and character growth. Part of that character growth is the rushed wedding. Rebecca knows that her feelings for Josh and their relationship and compatibility is being challenged. And what we did learn from the first season is that when Rebecca is feeling anxious, she acts out. but she's grasping at some normalcy. She's not necessarily self-sabotaging, but she wants stability because she's finally gotten what she thinks that she wants, and that's Josh. I mean, Rebecca and Josh have been our main plot for a season and a half now, so we're reaching the breaking point, which might force Rebecca into doing the work that she needs to do on herself. The second point of this character growth that we get to see is, in fact, that Rebecca respects Paula and her boundaries. She is so used to running to Paula for everything. She's always there to help her, but during Rebecca's wedding planning, Paula is studying for finals. So Rebecca immediately backtracks, tells her that she's got it, it's little, she's fine. And though it wasn't a smart move for her personally, it really shows how she's growing as a person and as a friend. And this relationship is starting to become more of a two-way street. So we have character development as well as relationship development. Also, I just want to mention Valencia finding a new path in life while being the best human ever. Like, she enters her event planning era while planning a wedding for her friend and her ex-boyfriend is just, I love Valencia. She's my favorite character. But what I really want to talk about is Nathaniel flying Rebecca's dad out for her wedding. Considering his own relationship with his father, it was an overwhelmingly sweet, kind, and thoughtful moment that honestly made me ship them so hard. Like, that was the moment I was like, those two, forever, I'm good. Neither Greg or Josh could ever think of doing anything that sweet for her. And off of that, we get this amazing circular writing moment, as well as some insight into Rebecca's obsession with Josh being a direct result of her daddy issues, as she texts her father, and it's identical to the text she sent Josh when she first moved to West Covina. So we already knew that her chasing Josh was her chasing her father. She's been begging for a man's attention, an emotionally unavailable man who repeatedly rejects her. And her journey with Josh is a direct mirror of her relationship with her father. And it's just a really well-written show, guys. Her having these moments leads to reveal some of her past relationship trauma. Her daddy issues start coming through really, really strong for everyone to see. And her reaction to the dance instructor thinking her and her father were a couple is also identical to the reaction to people thinking her and Josh were a couple at the beginning of season 1. So you really see a lot of her, that she's going to have to reconcile something with both of these men. We start getting into some actual things in her therapy scenes. The past trauma that gets brought up is starting to come out really strong, but it does kind of jumpstart her therapy. Like, she's having trauma breakthroughs right now, but they're breakthroughs nonetheless. Okay, I've talked a little bit about why Josh is actually terrible, but there is never a reason to leave someone at the altar. And Josh didn't even have a valid reason. We have established that he never really cared about Rebecca romantically, but to not even respect her enough as a human being to have a conversation with her instead of just literally abandoning her is so heartlessly cruel. She did not deserve that. She needs to work on herself, and she shouldn't be getting married, and that's fine. But she shouldn't have been forced into it like that. I'm on the Josh hate train forever. He's a trash person. Say he did actually want to become a priest, which we all know is bullshit, but to not say that directly to the person you're supposed to be marrying is abhorrent behavior. He's a dumpster goblin. Also, the Robert situation, I hate a lot. A professor was sleeping with his student, and she got kicked out of school. He dumped her in his apartment and expected his shit not to get set on fire. That sounds like a him problem. He did that to himself and she got punished for it. Gross. Season 2 has a lot more character and relationship development, and I think it's very rich with character building moments and decisions, and I think it's such a beautifully written way to open the door to discussing her mental health. Just like I said before, it's going to continue to get a little bit darker, but we are going to see more of Rebecca and Nathaniel in the next season, which is one of my favorite relationship dynamics. So I'm excited to talk about it, and thank you.